Best effort standby. Now, if you look in the documentation, I don't think you actually see any words along the lines of best effort. And so the actual question that came in from a poster was, I was at a user group meeting and the term best effort standby was mentioned as a new feature. I could not find such a term in the documentation. What is it? And I also went looking at the documentation and couldn't find the term best effort. However, I did find some various blog posts out there on the internet, and what it seems to be referring to is some of the enhancements to standby database that has come in Oracle 19c. So we thought we'd cover it off, and hopefully that is what the person in the user group was referring to when they said best effort standby. Here is your conventional primary standby setup. For those that aren't familiar with dataguard who are on the call, we have a production or primary database. It doesn't have to be production, but it's obviously a database of some importance, because generally it's those databases that we want to have a replica of, kept up to date in near or exact real time. And that's what our standby database is. And obviously we dispatch redo logs to keep all the changes from the production database over to the standby to keep it in sync. And that's the key term here. We send redo logs, a list of all the changes that have occurred, over to the standby. One of the things you can do in an Oracle database is perform operations without doing logging. And obviously in such an example, in such an instance, that leaves a bit of a gaping hole in your standby database. The standby doesn't receive some redo logs for an operation that has occurred on the production system. Now, obviously, if your standby database is a piece of mission critical infrastructure, something that you're going to rely on in the event of a disaster, then that's a bit of a problem. To resolve this, way back in Oracle 9, we introduced a facility called alter database force logging. And as the name suggests, what that does is any operation that has been requested not to generate redo logs is simply ignored. We still perform the operation, but we will use the redo logging mechanism anyway. So operations such as direct loads and etc. that can have the option of not recording their changes in the redo logs for performance reasons, if a database administrator has set alter database force logging, it doesn't matter. We will generate the logs regardless, because what we're saying is integrity of the standby database is more important than any performance benefits we could get from not generating the redo logs. And there's a very good reason why DBAs do that, because most of us have been in that scenario where redo logs get out of sync in some way with our standby, and we're left with a standby that is just a giant mess, at which point you're now in a position where that standby has to be fixed. In earlier releases of Oracle, that was a real nightmare, because if you had a 400 gigabyte, 400 terabyte, 400 petabyte database, size doesn't really matter. You had to actually reclone the entire database to your standby. Given that standbys are often used for disaster recovery, they may be in a different data center, a different country, different continent. And as a result, sometimes the network lines between those really weren't designed for a recloning operation. Solving no logging issues could then be improved by copying just relevant data files that had no logging operations on them. That came in I think, maybe Oracle 10, where you didn't have to copy the entire database. You can simply copy the affected data files, and the dataguard operations were smart enough to then perform a recovery and bring the database up to date. Before I talk about best effort standby, one thing I should note is that's even easier in, I think, 12.2, might even be 12.1 onwards. If you do have a standby which in some way has got out of sync or messed up compared to its production, even if you had force logging turned on, then there's actually a very easy RMAN facility now you can use to solve these problems. You simply connect to the standby as the target. Normally we connect obviously to the standby as auxiliaries when we're instantiating it. In this case, the standby is the object of interest, for lack of a better term. So we connect to the standby as the target. The primary is actually the auxiliary. It's the source that we're going to be using to sort things out on our standby. And as you can see, it's just a nice one-liner command. Recover database from primary, and the database itself and RMAN will work out where the problem data files are, go get them from the primary, apply the appropriate archive logs, and bring your standby back into sync. So that in itself, while we're not talking about best effort standby, That in itself is a cool facility that not many people are aware of. It's very cool. And if you're looking after standbys, have that command in your toolbox in case you ever need to reinstantiate a standby without having to do a lot of manual work or copy the entire database again. But on to best efforts. As I said, being able to force logging in all cases is actually a pretty cool insurance policy for DBAs. They don't have to worry greatly about no logging operations being a cause of problems in their standby database. The problem is, what about those databases where almost all the activity is big, heavy-duty loads? And a classic example is data warehouses. Even in non-data warehouse databases, there are now large components of large bulk operations. With the advent of 12.2, where a lot of objects can be moved online with no interruption to service to give performance benefits, it would be nice to be able to do those as well without having to have the overhead of logging. And the only reason it's there is because we don't want our standby to be messed up. Wouldn't it be cool if we could have our standby in sync and still be able to do no logging operations? That would be ideal for things like data warehouses, but also some benefits for standard operational databases as well. And that's exactly what we have. We now have 2 additional facilities in Oracle 19c, which gives you, for lack of a better term, your cake and you can eat it as well. The first one is this one. It says alter database set standby no logging for data availability. I've put there in big blue letters, deferred commit. Let me explain what this option does in relation to a commit. I will now permit a database to allow no logging operations and to have a standby database, and also guarantee the standby database is kept in sync. That almost seems like a contradiction, but the way it's done with this syntax is to say a no logging operation has been done on the production database. I will not allow the commit to be deemed complete or successful until I've transferred those affected blocks over to the standby and put them there as well. You could think of this as the equivalent of doing a manual operation of doing no logging operation on the primary, somehow manage to connect to the standby, do that same no logging operation in the exact same format, and then commit and say, yes, I want both of these to be done. So this will slow down your commit processing, but that's not normally a big drama because, let's face it, big no logging operations generally take a long time anyway. That's what they're designed to do. They take a while to run. They're just a lot quicker than a logged operation. But what we do is we then, while that's going on, we send the no logging affected blocks to the standby. When all of that is back in sync, now we allow the commit to occur. Our standby is kept perfectly in sync, and we got the performance benefit of a no logging operation. That's pretty cool. That might not be ideal though if your standby is a long way away, for example, over a thin network line. I might do a gigabyte of no logging operations on the primary, and now I've got to wait for that gigabyte of blocks to be sent across this thin network to a standby, say in a different country, and I can't commit until that is done. I might be prepared to actually have a momentary sort of diversion between my standby and my production system so that I can get my commit done faster. And we allow that syntax as well. And that's this one. Alter database set standby no logging for load performance. That is deferred transmission as opposed to deferred commit. So in that instance, what we're doing is allowing a no logging operation to occur in the primary. You then commit and we say, yep, we're done. Just like a normal no logged operation, you can commit it as soon as it completes. Now, of course, the standby doesn't have those no log blocks yet. In the background, we will start transmitting those no log blocks across the line and applying them to the standby in conjunction with effectively the redo logs. What that means is if you were to have a catastrophic disaster during that period, yes, you could have your standby slightly out of sync. You could have data loss. But that is the choice that you get to make. You get to defer the commit, or you get to say, I'm prepared to allow the commit to be fast, defer the transmission, and run that small risk that during that time frame when the standby is catching up, that there is that discrepancy between the two. I like this in the fact that now we've got a sort of a sliding scale of how up-to-date and how critical your standby is. If your standby is the mission critical part of your operation, then you do alter database force logging. Don't let any no logged operations occur. If you're prepared to impact your primary from time to time, but you've got to have that standby in sync and you want the benefit of no logging operations, you can do deferred commit. If your standby is perhaps used for things like performance testing, application deployment testing, it's not a true DR, or DR is not its primary purpose, then maybe you could choose deferred transmission. That confidence that the blocks will get there eventually without having to do a lot of manual intervention, but accepting the risk that for a small amount of time, your standby is potentially out of sync with production. So it's a nice sliding scale now of features that are available, just once again making your standby database more powerful and more useful. I will say one thing on that though. This is a question I've been asking at the various cities here in India in terms of standbys. I'm amazed by the number of people that do not have a standby database for their production server. Now, the response to that is often, well, disaster recovery is done by some other means. We have a site-wide mirroring on our storage arrays, et cetera, et cetera. There's lots of other means of having disaster recovery solutions. Even if a standby is never to be used for disaster recovery, you don't even have disaster recovery requirements, let's say, I still think every production database should have a standby copy. Let me explain why. The cost of doing that is zero. Now, that's a brave statement. The reason I stress that is almost no one, in fact, everyone I've asked on the tour so far has said that not a single customer out there with an Oracle database has one database running on one server. It just doesn't exist. You have development databases, you have test databases, and obviously most of us have multiple production databases. So you've already got, by definition, at least two pieces of hardware running Oracle in your organization. One of them might be running production. In fact, for every production database that's running on one piece of hardware, the trivial thing is you can have a standby copy of that production database on one of your other existing pieces of hardware. By definition, that other piece is already licensed to Oracle. The standby cost in that in terms of licensing is zero because that box is already licensed. Now, obviously, I'm not the official licensed spokesperson for Oracle, but in my opinion, that gives you enormous flexibility to have a standby database. You simply put it on another system that's currently running Oracle. If you have no need for DR, why would I want a standby database? Well, given the technology, which we won't spend a lot of time on, called snapshot standby, what this gives me is a production database that can be opened read-write. It's totally isolated from the true production database. It's read-write. I can do testing. I can do unit testing. I can test out dbms stats commands. I can use it for taking backups to off. There are so many options to explore your production database in total safety, to take load off your production database in total safety for effectively zero cost. Now, you might be thinking, if I've done that, if I've broken the link with production, have I jeopardized my true DR? Well, not really, because even when you open a snapshot standby in read-write mode, the archive logs are still being transmitted from the production node. You have a longer outage time if you do need to do a site-wide failover, and automation of that becomes a bit more tricky. But for that small inconvenience, you now have a regularly available full copy of your production database that can be trivially resynced with the true production. And what's not to love? There's so many options available to you that you can explore as a DBA or make it accessible to developers. That's pretty cool.